going on, friends? It has been so long, but happy 2023. I was really about to say happy 2022. Anyway, happy 2023. We are back into the swing of things, and I wanted to bring you along as I get ready. Unfortunately, well, kind of fortunately, I guess, but unfortunately in the sense of I'm still technically recovering. I got my wisdom teeth taken out. I don't know what made me do it, but as soon as Christmas was over, I packed up everything in the house and then I called to set an appointment to finally get my wisdom teeth taken out. Luckily, it hasn't been too bad, but I'm still a little bit swollen, having to eat soft foods and all of that jazz, but I didn't want to put off making another video any longer. So today I'm going to just get started, show you guys what we're up to and how we have been getting settled back into the swing of things with the new year and back into homeschooling. So my son is currently playing in the other room, so if you hear him being loud, sorry, not sorry, he lives here too. I wanted to show you guys what all we're doing. My son asked if we can get into food chains and food webs. I asked him what he would be interested in as far as a specific food chain or if he had something in mind that he wanted to dive into first, and he chose Africa. So I went ahead and ran with it. I'm going to be showing you guys which skills and standards that I chose from to build and create our curriculum and the activities that we're going to be doing. As always, my dogs are barking too. It's okay. So that's what this video is going to be all about. I do want to sprinkle in a few other things that have helped in getting us ready to kick off a new session of learning and some things that I do just to kind of reset, because that's what this video is going to be all about. If you have not been here before and you don't even know who I am Lauren. I am a former teacher turned homeschooling mom. I taught in the classroom for 5 years, and then once my son was of schooling age, we both decided that 2020 was the perfect time to just jump into learning at home. Luckily, that has been something we have all really loved and enjoyed, and my son is thriving. He's currently in what would be considered traditionally second grade. So if that gives you a better idea of what I'm going to show you, this almost feels weird because it has been a while and I feel like I'm a little rusty. So please forgive me, but I wanted to jump right back into it. So let's get going. Okay, so starting off, we have our little folder. This is what I'm going to be using for this unit. I went ahead and got a new folder because I was tired of just shoving things in a binder or having to hole punch everything just to make it easier. I'm going to leave everything in here. So I went ahead and created a little workbook of Africa is what I'm calling it. And I'll go through the pages really quickly with you guys. So we are going to be discussing biomes. So this would be technically like day one. So day one, we're going to talk about what a biome is, talk about different biomes, and then down here there's going to be a spot to recall the definition, and then we are going to go over the different regions or the different biomes of Africa and color code them on here. Now this is something that I am planning to do alongside my son. I don't expect him to do this by himself. That's just how we kind of enjoy doing things. I like learning right along with him because there's always something new to be learned or to go over. So I enjoy doing it right along with him. So that is going to be our plan for this particular page. And then I broke down every single biome. So for this particular one, we're going to talk about the temperature, the amount of light, soil type, and amount of water, and that goes right back to the definition of a biome. So we're just going to be going back over to review, and then this, I'm not really sure that you can see it on camera, but it's almost like the outline of a Polaroid. So inside of here, he's going to be drawing, and I'm going to let him choose from, you know, some of the pictures or the videos that we go over and watch of what he wants to capture in the savanna picture of the savanna biome. So that will be the second day. We're going to be covering the savanna, and then along with that will be this little activity of the food web. So it's also in my plans that either day one or day two, we're going to go over and cover what the difference between a food chain and a food web is. We've already talked about a food chain. I believe it was like last year that we really covered this as one of our standards. So now we're going to be stepping it up a little bit to talk about a food web. So as you can see, this is much more complex than what your average food chain discussion would be for like a younger age. So I enjoy that we're able to step up the difficulty a little bit. And then we're also going to be talking about and reviewing some of those vocabulary words that come along, like producers and consumers. So we're going to discuss and look at this and go over producers and consumers. Now, this particular thing will not be available on my site because I just screenshot these pictures. They belong to someone else. We're just using them for our own, personal use. So I don't want to resell someone else's work. If you are interested in something like this, I can definitely put something together. It will probably take me like another week. So definitely let me know. I would be more than happy to kind of adjust this whole packet if this is something you would be interested in using as well. Okay, and then down here it says how many living things in this food web are only producers. So then we'll cover that too. And then the next day we'll do woodlands. Same thing for the first page of the woodlands, but I did switch up the activities for the second page. So once again, we are talking about and covering again what a biome is. We kind of have a little synopsis up here, and as well as another picture with a food web for, oh, you know what? I didn't even change this. For the woodlands. This happens to me often where I'll go back through something and I'm like, oops, made a little bit of a mistake, but that's okay. Like I said, this is just like our personal use. But for this particular one, I'm having him choose from the living things above to draw a simple food chain, and then he can choose from one of these and break down from the food web a food chain. Now, before I go on, I did want to quickly cover again that I love to use, this little flip book was part of a training that I took, and it goes over, you can tell it's well loved, and I have another one as well. You can find these online, various places. If you're not interested in like a flip book, they have great little visuals of something that you would be able to use for your own planning if this is something that you would like to go down the road of doing rather than a pre-made curriculum. So it goes over kind of the difficulty and how our minds can really like grasp concepts and like how you build on different topics. So first you'll have like an introduction of the topic. You'll remember facts about it, understand it, apply it, analyze, evaluate, and create. So while I work through a unit, I do try to work through the different levels. This kind of goes along with like the difficulty, I would say. This particular, there's the creator of this specific flip book back here. Because I do love that in here it tells you different keywords that you can use, questions to ask, and it really helps to kind of get your mind going with what that certain level will entail. And then once you get down here to create, it says what changes would you make, or how would you adapt something to create a different whatever. So like in this particular situation, maybe I would say, suppose you could be an animal in the savannah. What would you do and what would you eat in this particular biome or environment? So those types of things do help you to kind of work through to ensure that it's not something that's super easy the whole time that you're working through a unit, but that it does increase in difficulty and allows for more thinking and, critical thinking when it comes to applying different topics and concepts that your child learns throughout. Okay, so moving right along, the next thing will be the desert. Once again, the same thing for the first page because these are the little aspects of a biome, so we're revisiting that. And then we have another food web, and down here I did create a little fill in the blank. So he will choose one of these animals. I am a blank, living in the African desert is blank, and so this once again allows for a little bit more creativity, a little more thinking. It's not just recalling a fact or finding information and writing it down. So this whole little paragraph, and then if you want to extend this into writing, you could also have them write their own, or even go back and copy what they've already put in the blanks to make a full paragraph of their own writing instead. Then tropical rainforest, similar page at the front, and then we are going to be talking about carnivores, omnivores, and herbivores. And on this one, we're going to be choosing, or he's going to be choosing the different animals and sorting them. So you'll also see in something like this that sorting will be one of those like words that you might see to help you know which level of critical thinking that would be. So we're going to be sorting. And then this was something that I found in a different unit that was talking just about Africa, but I did think that this was really neat to add into the end. So it's a Venn diagram. It says compare the average climate, rainfall, temperatures, and major biomes to that of your own home country. What's the same and what's different? So not only is this going to go back and review using a Venn diagram and how to utilize a Venn diagram, but also the comparing and contrasting, really taking those concepts and applying them to what we're familiar with ourselves and tying it into what we've learned throughout this unit of talking about Africa. So since there are 4 different sections of this, and there are also lots of different concepts that I can see that we not only would cover while we're on it, but may want to dig deeper into, I'm going to allot for probably 2 weeks for this particular unit. And then we already know what we're jumping into next. If we didn't, I do think that I would probably drag it out a little longer. We would probably get into more of like a unit study with particular pieces of this, but I do want to keep the learning nice and fresh. I love to keep my son on his toes, and then if there's something he's interested in, I don't want to make him wait to get into that. So we're going to have this unit be about 2 weeks long, and then I'll jump into showing you guys which videos that I will be using so that you can see my thinking on that as well if you're interested. And then, like I was telling you before, I will jump back into showing the standards and some of the skills that we're going to be revisiting. I know that sometimes it seems kind of odd to create a unit and tie in every single subject to that unit, but it's always possible. There are always different fun things that you can find or do and create on your own that will tie into the unit. So this is our paper side of things, and then I will show you guys some of the other aspects and components. I'm going to interrupt for just a second because there are 2 different sides that I wanted to talk about. The first one is reading A to Z. I have talked about this a little briefly before because I showed you guys some of the printable books that are leveled readers. If you're interested in leveled readers for your child, just so you kind of know the place of where they are and where they need to be, or if you're trying to compare the differences of like what books look like at different levels, reading A to Z is a perfect place to find that. I will say a lot of these resources I downloaded and kept when I was a teacher, so I'm not really sure what they have out there that is free or homeschool related, but it's always worth checking out. There are tons of things that you can use as a resource to help guide you while you're learning with your child or while you're teaching your child any reading skills. But then they also have books that are great to print off to help you kind of keep track. I want to put the emphasis on helping you to keep track because I know when kids kind of feel the pressure of being at a level or needing to get to, and let's say needing to get to another level, because once again, with homeschooling, there should not be the pressure of meeting a specific topic or skill set at a certain age because you don't have the pressure of being in a specific grade or needing to get to a different grade by a certain time. So when your child has a little bit more freedom to move at their own pace, it is definitely going to keep them encouraged to do that. So I will show you a few of the printable books that I have used. And like I said, I've had these for a while. There's probably lots of other things on there right now. They do have fictional and non-fictional books, and it'll tell you like the differences. And then there's also some lessons or like questions and guided things for you to use as a resource that go along with each book. So those are great things to utilize if you're not using a specific curriculum. This would be a great way to incorporate different topics and concepts along with your reading and language arts lessons. Okay, and then the second website, I cannot think off of the top of my head what it is called, but I will put it right down here for you. This is something that I recently saw on Instagram, and it is a little more interactive, but for the parent, understanding how words and the like science behind reading comes along from learning the letters and their sounds all the way to learning to read and then making the transition from learning to read to reading to learn. So think about that for a second. This is a great way that kind of breaks down all the concepts and makes it a little more digestible. So when you do come across different topics and concepts and skills that you need to teach your child or want to teach your child that go along with reading and the English language in general, it gives a very easy to digest breakdown of all of those concepts. For instance, they were going over, in the example that I saw, they were going over like R controlled vowels, and then it broke up the sounds for the child, and then you can like kind of talk about and discuss the vowels, the consonants. You can talk about how many syllables, you can talk about how many sounds you hear, and then this also helps with spelling. So if you are finding that your child is reading but is lacking a little bit in spelling, I know for us that is the case, and I always tell you guys, I'm going to keep it absolutely real because I want you to be able to use us as an example, and I don't mind sharing those type of things because I want to be able to help, and using an example does often help a little bit more than just discussing it. So while we are learning and getting more familiar with spelling rules and all of that stuff, I do want to go back and revisit some of those concepts that would usually be taught when children are first learning how to read. And from my background, having spelling and reading coming along at the same time is often a lot for a little young child to handle. So when your child is showing readiness for those things, that is a great opportunity to take the time and actually go through it when they are ready to, not trying to force feed all of these different things to them. And it's just so much at once, and they often will become overwhelmed. So using that website as a tool is going to be awesome for you. So if you're looking for something in the phonics world, or like I said, something to help with understanding reading and spelling, science behind everything, this website will be very beneficial. So I just wanted to pop in and share that. So let's get back to the video.
Okay, last but not least, we are going to be creating a brochure, and by we, I mean my son. I wanted to do this to kind of tie everything together with the learning, but create a fun way to capture everything. So what better than a brochure that's kind of like a travel feel to it. This was a template that I found on Canva. This is the second page that I'm showing you now. And then I just put some titles on here, but we don't have to be married to them. This is also a great way for your kids to practice their technology skills and to design something of their own. My son loves to play around on Canva. They have lots of different elements and things to choose from. That's where I got the little clip art and things like that. So as you'll see on that left hand side, there's lots of elements, templates, and you can even upload your own photos on here. So if you're looking for a great, fun, but creative way for your kids to show their learning, this is a really great option. You can even include videos and hyperlinks in here as well if you wanted to have them film themselves. I'm going to include the videos that we'll be using for this particular unit, so you can see kind of how our learning is going to be captured. And we're also going to discuss poaching. I'm not going to go into super detail, but we are going to go over what that means, what that looks like, why people do that, and how we can help stop poaching, or how different groups are already in the act of helping to stop poaching.
As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you have any questions or suggestions or anything that I can help you with, I would love to. Feel free to leave a comment, or you can even email me. Everything is right there in the description. If you saw anything on this video that you're interested in for yourself, you can always find these on my site at practicalandprissy.com. All of my printables and downloadable, everything is there, including activities, calendars, organizers, everything for record keeping, etc. If you don't find what you're looking for, you can always reach out and I can help you find exactly what you need to make homeschooling a little bit easier. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next one.